All right, let's dive into a story that connects the ancient landscape of northeast Thailand with the health of its people today. It's a fascinating look at how the very ground beneath your feet can shape the well being of a whole region, a place we know as Isan. Let's get into it. So let's start with a question that honestly gets right to the heart of what we're talking about today. How on earth can things that seem so different, ancient geology, a specific type of rice, and modern healthcare all be connected? Well, as we're about to see in Isan, they're not just connected, they're all threads in the exact same story. Before we go any further, we really need to understand this one core concept, Yudi Misuk. Now, this doesn't just translate to being healthy. It's a much deeper, richer idea. It's about a complete state of well-being, being in balance with your body, your mind, your community, and crucially, the environment around you. To really get a handle on the people of Isan and their story of well-being, we have to start with the land itself. It's a unique landscape defined by one massive geological feature that has pretty much shaped the region's entire destiny. You know, you might picture this part of the world as just flat, but that's not the whole picture, not by a long shot. The entire region is actually one enormous plateau, but it's shaped like a giant, shallow bowl or a basin. And this one fact is the starting point for, well, everything else. And what's really interesting is that this giant bowl isn't just one big empty space. Running right down the middle of it is a mountain range called the Phu Pan. Think of it like a natural spine, splitting that huge plateau right in two. So what this split does is create two really distinct regions. Up north, you've got the Sakon Nakhon Basin, which gets its water from the Songkram River. But to the south, you have the massive Korat Basin. And this is where our story really takes place. It's home to the legendary Thung Kula Ronghai Plain, and it's fed by the two most important rivers for our story, the Mun and the Chi. Okay, so we've got the geography down. Now let's look at how this landscape, especially those rivers, became the absolute lifeblood for the incredible civilizations that rose and fell here over thousands of years. And don't think for a second that this was some quiet, empty backwater. For centuries, this region was a major hub. It was the heartland of powerful kingdoms, from the early Chenla state to the spread of Devarvadi culture, and eventually, the immense influence of the great Khmer Empire to the south. You've got to remember, in an era before highways and cars, these rivers, the Mun and the Chi, they were everything. They were the superhighways for trade, for armies, for new ideas. Power itself literally flowed along these waters, connecting communities and building entire empires. So the people here weren't just living on the land. They were masters of using what it gave them. They built their whole world from it, from the very stones under their feet to the unique properties of the soil. And this is where you see some real genius at work. The ancient Khmer builders, they knew their local geology inside and out. They knew to use the beautiful, easy-to-carve red sandstone for those grand temples and intricate designs. And for the foundations, they used the super-hard, iron-rich laterite, which is exactly why those temples are still standing 1,000 years later. But as incredible as those stone temples are, maybe the most precious gift from the land of Isan wasn't something you could build with at all. It was the soil itself, especially in that one very special place we mentioned, the Thung Kula Ronghai Plain. So here's the secret to that world-famous jasmine rice, or kauhom mai. This huge plain has this unique soil. It's sandy and just a little bit salty. And that composition actually puts a tiny bit of stress on the rice plant. It forces the plant to create these compounds that produce that incredible fragrant aroma. It's like agricultural magic, and it's something that just cannot be done anywhere else on the planet. But of course, things change. The 20th century rolls in, and it brings a shift that would completely reroute the flow of life itself. And with this new era came a completely new set of challenges to people's well-being. This was the game changer, the Mitra Phop Road, also known as the Friendship Highway. All of a sudden, asphalt and concrete replaced water as the main arteries. Life physically shifted away from the riverbanks. It connected Isan to the modern world like never before. But in the process, it started to disconnect it from its ancient rhythms. And this change had a huge, direct impact on people's health. The old enemies, things like malaria, infectious diseases, the dangers of famine or childbirth, they started to fade away. But in their place, a whole new set of challenges emerged, the chronic diseases of the modern world, like diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the data. If we look at why people are going to the doctor for outpatient visits in Roi Et Province, check this out. Number 1 and number 2 are diabetes and hypertension. These are modern, lifestyle-driven diseases, a perfect reflection of this changing world. Now, when we look at the more serious cases, the ones that require someone to be admitted to the hospital, the picture's a bit more complex. You see things like pneumonia and accidents up top. But look, there it is again, right at number 4, diabetes. It just goes to show you that these new chronic diseases aren't just minor problems, they're becoming serious enough to put people in the hospital. So you've got this massive shift in health problems. The question is, how did the way people get care evolve to meet these new challenges? How did the region find a way to blend that ancient spirit of community with the demands of modern medicine? You have to imagine, for hundreds of years, healthcare wasn't something you went to a building for. It was right there, in your village. You had traditional healers who knew all the local herbs, spirit healers for restoring spiritual balance, and community midwives who safely brought generation after generation into the world. Fast forward to today, and all that traditional wisdom is now complemented by a really organized, modern system. It's a clear pathway. A patient's journey usually starts at their local health clinic. If they need more, they get referred up the chain to a district hospital, and for the most specialized care, to the main provincial hospital. But the real genius of the system, the true bridge that connects that ancient world of community care with the modern world of clinics and medicine, it's not a place, it's a person. It's the Orsormor. These folks, the Orsormor, or village health volunteers, are the absolute backbone of public health in Thailand. They're local people from the community trained to be the first line of defense, of health promotion right in their own villages. And the system works so well that the World Health Organization itself has pointed to it as a model for the entire world. They really are the modern embodiment of Yudi Misuk. So all of this brings us back to our final thought. The story of Isan shows this deep, unbreakable link between the health of the land and the health of the people. And as we continue to embrace and rely on incredible modern medicine to treat our very modern illnesses, it leaves us with a question. What lessons from that ancient wisdom about living in balance with our environment should we make sure we never, ever forget?